Trucker Dump, episode 192. In today's show, I'll tell you when the biggest safety blitz of the year is going to take place. The Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, or OOIDA, asked the FMCSA for a better big truck crash study this time around. Of course, more rules exemptions are being sought from the FMCSA. New move-over laws are coming in some states. Canada provides funding to get more truckers into the industry. A cool new loading and unloading system is introduced by a major LTL company, and a truck pulls a semi out of a ditch. Spoiler alert, it's not a tow truck. Then for the fun part, where we've got a Trucker Grub segment from One of a Kind, Trucker Smack has a suggestion how the FMCSA could make the split sleeper berth rule easier for everyone. They can start by making split sleeper berth easier to say. And once again, my ability to speak coherently is challenged, only this time it's by Goose from Australia. Don't want to miss this one. Alright, let's get this party started.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by abouttruckdriving.com. Resources that help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Hey, Trucker Dumpers, how's it going? Well, once again, I hope you're having a better week than me. I'm getting good hours on the clock and everything, and the miles are okay, but, I've had a couple of 360-mile days, and that's just not very good. But, as a senior driver that I work with often says, Todd, they give you what you can handle. So that's how my workplace is. I'm picked on all the time, probably because I can laugh about it. Got too many sensitive people who can't take a joke, and they're no fun to pick on, right? Yeah. Nothing worse than somebody who they can dish it out, but they can't take it. Hate that. Anyway, I hope your week is going a lot better than mine, but hey, at the very least, you can always just compare your week to driver Chris Mack, who's been in Wyoming pretty much all week. Man, what a mess is up there. If you have not seen any pictures from up there in Wyoming, what's going on with all the snow, I'll put a link in the show notes to an article I found on overdriveonline.com about what's going on up in Wyoming on I-80. And boy, what a mess that is. I mean, as soon as they get the roads cleared, something else comes through, or the wind picks up and, it's 84 mile an hour winds and it just blows right back over the road, and drivers just can't get out of the dang state. It's been a mess. So anyway, check out that link in the show notes if you're interested in that. Show notes, of course, as I've said many, many times, can be found in your podcast app if you're using one. Just swipe left or right or scroll down, or there might be a button for them, whatever. It'll have all the links to every story I talk about or everything I mention here in the podcast. But hey, if you're a little insane and you're not using a good podcast app, you can always just go to abouttruckdriving.com and search for TD192, and that'll give you all the show notes right there for this episode. By the way, you can also subscribe to the newsletter, and I send those out to your email every time there's a new episode. So that's another way to get them. So anyway, I guess before we go any further, I should actually tell you who I am in case you're new to the show. My name's Todd McCann, been driving a truck for about 25 years. All of that has been company driving. About 9 or 10 years of my career has been spent in the truck with the evil overlord, who is my wife and ex-co-driver. For the record, she does know that I call her that, and she approves of the nickname. So there you have it. What's that tell you? If you want to know why that is, go check out episode 100, where I talk about what makes the evil overlord evil. That was one of the more fun ones that I had writing. So anyway, I'm not just a trucker. I'm also an author. I've generated 2 ebooks in my lifetime. I actually have a third that I've been working on for a long time, but I'm just too lazy to kick it out. And I'm not sure there'll be much of a market for it anyway. But, maybe one of these days I'll add, it'll be a trilogy to the ebook combo pack instead of just the 2. So what is this ebook combo pack, you ask? Well, thanks for asking. Go to abouttruckdriving.com and search for the ebooks. Well, they're right there on the main page as you get there, so you'll see both of them. One is called How to Find a Great Truck Driving Job. The other is called Trucking Life. Trucking Life includes a 9.25 hour audio book, if you can stand my voice for that long. And you can get both of those individually on Amazon, iBooks, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get your ebooks, or you can get them in a combo pack right here on the website, abouttruckdriving.com. The 50% off deal is still on. It was supposed to end at the end of February, but I misjudged the calendar, because there's only 28 days in February. So last week I said this week would be the last week of the 50% off sale. And well, it caught up to me and I didn't get it done. So you got this week only, and I will change it before the next episode. So it will be back down to 25% off, which is the normal price. So anyway, $9.99 for 2 books. Enough about that. I think we got a short show today, but I think it's going to be fun, especially if you stick around for the listener feedback segment. Oh boy. I'm once again going to be challenged in the way that I say things. For the record, everyone, it's Nevada. Okay. I get that now. All right. Let's say I quit rambling aimlessly and let's get on with the news. All right, let's get the bad news out of the way first. CDLLife.com, RoadCheck 2023 CMV Blitz to emphasize ABS violations and cargo securement. Yep, this is the giant international road check that takes place every year. This year it's going to be on May 16th through the 18th. This takes place in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. This is an entire North American thing. They're going to be doing inspections at way stations, along roadways, and just surprise pop-up stations that aren't normally there. So, surprise, get ready. Anyway, like I said, this year they're going to be focusing on anti-lock brake systems and cargo securement. So honestly, this seems a little bit biased towards flatbedders. Yeah, I was thinking, when I read this cargo securement, what are they going to get in vans and reefers and, pop the seal and get in there and look around and see if things are secured properly? Well, they might when it comes to hazmat. That's for sure. Hazmat has to be secured. It has to be blocked and braced. And if you have placards, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they do that more during this road check. Although it doesn't say specifically they're going to do that, it wouldn't surprise me. I can't imagine this is just focused on flatbedders. But according to this article, it does look like that is one thing they're going to be looking for. So they're going to be looking to see if you got spare tires, extra dunnage, stuff like tarps and chains and straps and stuff. They want to see if all of those are in good condition, if there's enough tie downs for what you're hauling, and or enough chains or whatever. Make sure you're using enough straps for your loads. They're going to make sure all that stuff is securely in place if you're not actually using it and it can't be rolling around or fall off the truck, that kind of a thing. They're going to be looking at anchor points and structures for damage. And this one I don't quite understand because I've never done flatbed, but it says verify commodity specific cargo is secured in accordance with the regulations. So I don't know what that means. Maybe like certain things like steel coils require a certain amount of chains or whatever. I don't know exactly what that means. If you're a flatbedder, you know for sure. So write in and tell me. truckerdump@gmail.com. What are they talking about when they say commodity specific cargo? So anyway, probably for the rest of us, the thing that's going to get us the most is going to be the ABS. How many times have you hauled a trailer with an ABS light on? That's, of course, the anti-lock braking system. Yeah, that's a common thing on, these things are very finicky for whatever reason. Sometimes you can just unplug a cable underneath the trailer and the light will go out. If it's staying on, that is one thing they're going to be looking for, by the way, if the lamp stays on when it's not supposed to. They're also going to be looking to see if the lamp cycles on and off during the diagnostic check. And, of course, they're going to be looking just to see if the vehicle actually requires ABS. Not some of the older trailers don't actually require it, or don't have it on there. So, of course, they won't be checking for it, obviously. But anyway, they are going to be staying super busy. I found this little stat they had here interesting. It says they inspect 15 trucks or buses on average every minute across the North America during this 72-hour period. 15 trucks every minute. Now, as I've said before, I never hardly see this. As an LTL driver, I drive at night a lot, and they don't do a lot of these inspections at night. But even when I was a over-the-road driver, I never really saw much of this. I don't know if I just got lucky all those years. Of course, this inspection thing has been going on for years and years, and I just hardly ever had anything to do with it. Like, I just would rarely even see trucks backed up at weigh stations and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe I am just extremely lucky. If you have had bad experiences with this international road check, and you've been shut down for long periods of time, or you've been inspected like every single year and you've got the worst luck possible, write in and tell me about it. truckerdump@gmail.com. Or better yet, send an audio comment and tell me about one really, really, really bad time that it affected you. Something like that. That'd be fun. So anyway, just so you know, again, this is going to take place on May 16th through the 18th, and I will try to remember to remind you even more when we get closer to it. But make sure you get those ABS systems working. But quite honestly, we're in early March, so as finicky as these ABS systems are, by the time you get it fixed and then, May rolls around, it'll probably be, your light will probably be back on again and malfunctioning. That's just the way it works. So anyway, if you want to see a little infographic here on cdllife.com, go check it out. And it gives a very brief and detailed what they're going to be checking for. So go check that one out. cdllife.com. Hey, look, it's a miracle. No boobs on this page. All right. Onward. Okay, let's head over to overdriveonline.com for this next one. CVSA's new out-of-service criteria, what owner-operators need to know. Now, I know most of you are company drivers, but this is also relevant to you. But it's really aimed at owner-operators and fleet owners because, they're the ones that often have to deal with these out-of-service issues. So as a reminder, the CVSA is the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, and they have put out this list of out-of-service criteria for about 30 years. And these new changes are going to go into effect on April 1st. So you want to make sure you get a hold of these if you are an owner-operator especially. Now, there's not a lot of changes, but there's just they talk about, clearing up some language as they do every year. They just, touch up a few things that were questioned a lot during the year, and they just update it to be a little bit more clear, which is the way things should work. But this year in particular, they are focusing on hours and logbook changes and drugs. So, for instance, there's a clarification on what kind of a false log thing would put you out of service. So, for instance, until this latest update, if an officer looked back in your logbook and they found a logbook violation up to 8 days ago, it would still be considered an out-of-service violation. But that doesn't really make sense, especially, say, if you did a 34 in between there, or you got a full 10-hour break. So that won't put you out of service anymore, although it will still be a violation on your, for your CSA score and all that other stuff. They can ticket you and you pay a fine and all that stuff. They just can't place you out of service anymore because of something like that. And see, that's a common sense thing. If you're no longer endangering the public by falsifying your log, then what's the harm? You're still going to get a ticket, but you don't need to be placed out of service to get your 10 hours of rest. There's also some wording in here that if you are one of those drivers who is exempt from running an ELD, that there was some vague language in there that said you had to have the last 7 days of paper logs in your truck with you. But if you're not required to have an ELD, that doesn't really qualify, because you're using an ELD, but it's by your own. You just want to do it yourself. It's an easy way to keep track of your time or whatever. They're just saying basically you don't have to have the last 7 days of logs in there with you if you're not required to run an E-log. So there's that. As far as the drugs go, that's a little trickier. They're now saying, that if you've used drugs within the past 24 hours, you can still be fined for that because it still is illegal to do drugs within 24 hours of when you're driving. And that's prescription drugs too. But if say you take a roadside sobriety test or, to see if you're all high and stuff and you pass it, they can't place you out of service for that. They can still give you a ticket if they know you've, say, done drugs within the last 24 hours. But if you're not actively messed up, same way with alcohol, if you're not actively messed up at the time and a danger on the road, then you cannot be placed out of service. And like I said, drugs and the logbooks were the big things, but there's other things they mentioned. Like, for instance, there was some language that said that a flatbed needs to be tied down every 10 feet. And there was some confusion because officers were looking for it to be every 10 feet exactly. But that's not the case. It just means, they cleared up the language that says you need a strap for every 10 feet, not exactly on the 10-foot mark, if that makes sense. So I guess there was a lot of confusion on that, so they cleared that one up. And the last one they mention here is that you have rust on your disc brakes, you could be placed out of service. Well, now they're saying that it is only if the rust is across the entire rotor. So if you just have a little bit of light rust on a disc, which you're probably going to have, then it's not that big of a deal. Or maybe it's just a little spot of rust here and there. Although that does reduce contact with the pad, obviously, it still is not going to put you out of service. So I am just touching on all of these things. Do not take my word as gospel on this. Please don't, because this is out of service type stuff. Make sure you go over here to overdriveonline.com, read this article yourself, and then find out. It doesn't actually say where you can get this document, but I'm sure you can do some research and figure out how to get it. Hey, I can't do everything for you. So anyway, like I say, if you are interested in this kind of stuff, head on over here to overdriveonline.com. You always want to be prepared. Don't ever want to be put out of service, right? Okay, enough about that. All right, this next one I found on landline.media. Crash study shouldn't repeat past mistakes, OOIDA says. So again, OOIDA is the Owner-Operator Independent Driver Association, and this is regarding the large truck crash causation study that happened. Man, this was back in 2001 to 2003. That's the last time anything like this has been done. And this study was designed to try to figure out, how many large truck accidents they are and what the cause of those accidents were. And the problem is, according to OOIDA, that the methodologies that they did to get this study done is majorly flawed. So they're saying basically the study was actually a collision avoidance or crash prevention study, which was focused on pre-collision events instead of the consequences of those events and how it happened. So one example in this study, for instance, was the driver was sitting at a light. They had a left turn arrow on the light, and they turned across the path of an oncoming car. Now, the car should have stopped, but they didn't. So they focused on the critical event, air quotes, that the truck turned across the path of the other vehicle, even though it was the car that ran the red light. So I think OOIDA is basically just saying, hey, let's look this thing over again. And, they actually want to rename it Large Truck Contributing Factors Study. It's a slight difference, but I see what they're getting at. We want to figure out, okay, yes, there was a truck accident and it involved a car and there were some fatalities or whatever, but whose fault was it? Let's not go pinning the blame on truckers if it's not their fault. Which, at past studies, I believe this study from 2001 or 2003, whatever it was, I think that's where I got the number for my book, where I quoted that 73% of all accidents were caused by autos when it involved a car and a big truck. And, that's interesting because that number is probably way higher. I've heard as high as 96% in other studies, but maybe if this study focused on who was at fault, that number would go way up, and that would shed a whole new light on the trucking industry, wouldn't it? I mean, 73% is already saying we're not doing a whole lot wrong compared to cars, as we all know. But, wouldn't it be nice if we actually had a study, a current study? It's hard to believe, isn't it? This last one was done about 20 years ago. That's crazy. They're putting all this effort into making trucks safer and stuff, but they don't do a study like this but every 20 years. That's freaking nuts. So anyway, it does look like the FMCSA will be taking comments on this in the future. And when I see it pop up, I will certainly let you know about it so you can go in here and write your comments. So if you're interested in reading more about that, head on over to landline.media. Stay on them, OOIDA. Let's point the FMCSA at the real problem out there, cars. Well, here we go again with yet another trucker who's trying to petition the FMCSA to not have to follow the hours of service rules, looking for an exemption. Only this time, there's a slight twist. Found this one on landline.media. Hours of service waiver sought by trucker who ran under emergency order. Okay. Now, this driver's name is John Ollier or something like that. He's out of Tucson, Arizona. And this is the difference. He has been running under these hours of service exemptions because he hauls a lot of FEMA and stuff like that, COVID-19 exemptions. His company does a lot of that stuff, and he's been doing it pretty much for the past 3 years. Now, as we've talked about in the past, the FMCSA has this little loophole that they like that, if somebody asks for an exemption for something, they say, hey, you have to be able to prove to us that by doing what you're asking us to do, give you an exemption for these safety rules, that you can continue to be as safe as you are now by having those rules. Well, here's the catch, right? This guy's been doing this for the past 3 years. No accidents. And so even though we talked about how they've only reported 2 accidents, both were propane haulers, I believe, and both of them were one vehicle accidents. No deaths, not even a lot of damage come from either of those accidents. And this was under the entire 3 years, since the COVID exemptions started. So, but that's generic. That's, for everyone. But this is specific. It's him only. He's saying, look at my record. I haven't had any accidents in the past 3 years, and I've been running under this thing constantly. So therefore, I should be exempt. Now, we all know what's going to happen here. The FMCSA is going to figure out some way to weasel out of this, because there is no way they can let a driver get away with this and they don't have to follow e-logs if they have not e-logs, but the hours of service, because that would just open the floodgates on every driver who has ran under this emergency situation for the past 3 years or so. And they do not want to open that door. They'll figure a way out of this. Trust me on this one. But if you're interested in this, you can head on over here to landline.media. And let's see, they will be entering this in the Federal Register on March 3rd. And once that happens, the public will have 30 days to comment on this. So if you have something to say about it, head on over here to landline.media, click the link right there after March 3rd, and it will take you right to it. Hey, today's March 3rd, so go on over there now, landline.media. Good luck, Mr. Ollier, or whatever your name is. But hey, it's not just people who are requesting exemptions from the FMCSA, it's companies too. This one I found on freightwaves.com. Warning devices for stopped trucks to go by wayside? Okay, this one comes from Waymo and Aurora Operations, who, if you don't recognize those names, well, you might recognize Waymo. They've been talked about quite a bit. They are autonomous truck companies. And basically what they're saying is, hey, we're not going to have a operator in the truck. These are going to be autonomous trucks. So we need an exemption from the roadside warning devices. What they're talking about there is flares or triangles or whatever. Obviously, if there's no driver there, they can't put out triangles and they can't put out flares. So what they are suggesting is they have these beacons that are on, looks like they're mounted on the top of the mirrors, and they're bright lights and they would flash. Now that in itself is something that they're going to need to get exempt from, because right now there's specific rules. There's only certain lights on the truck that can flash, like turn signals. But they're saying, hey, we need these to flash so they can draw attention to the truck. Now, I don't know what they're going to do about this, because obviously they need some kind of exemption like this because nobody's there to put out triangles. But at the same time, the whole idea of these triangles is to set them back, way back from the truck, or, so people have time to scoot over. And maybe those lights, they're just mounted on the mirrors. Is that going to be enough warning? I don't know. They say that it's proven effective so far with their testing, but we will have to see. They're probably going to have to come up with, way more testing on this and prove to the FMCSA, because you know what they say, if we're going to have an exemption, you've got to be able to prove to us that you're going to have an equal amount of safety going forward. Yeah. So anyway, just as a reminder on this, there is a thing on where you're supposed to setting these emergency devices, whether it be a flare or a triangle. And I've said this many, many, many times, but it's not, just like one 10 feet behind your truck, one 20 feet, one 30 feet. It's not that easy. They're saying the first one should go about 10 feet from behind the vehicle. The next one should be about 40 paces. And then another one should be another 40 paces. So that's 10 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet. And they also say, and I honestly had forgotten this, if the truck is stopped within 500 feet of a curve or the crest of a hill or some other obstruction where oncoming traffic can't see you, then that warning device has to be placed up to 500 feet away from the truck at the top of that hill, around the bend, whatever it may be, so people actually know to expect there's something around the corner. So, hey, this probably won't affect you or any of us for that matter of fact, but I just thought this was interesting because, hey, look, another problem with automated trucks that we got to get around. This is only the beginning, folks. It's just going to get worse. If you're interested in reading about this one, head over to freightwaves.com. All right, let's head back over to landline.media for this one. 6 states pursue expanded move over rules for all road users. Now, of course, move over rules are just basically saying if there's something on the shoulder of the road, scoot over and get away from it. Now, what's in question here is the different levels of that. Some states only require you to scoot over for police officers. Others require you to scoot over for construction vehicles. Others require you scoot over for anything on the shoulder of the road, like an abandoned truck or something like that. Some of them are only focused on cars. Others are focused on trucks. It's kind of all over the map. Now, I think we've talked about this before. It feels like I've even talked about this particular article before, but it came out on March 2nd, so I know that can't be the case. So it must be a different article. So anyway, there's lots of states that already do stuff like this. Maryland, Arizona, Connecticut, Illinois, Iowa, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee. And if these new bill pass, these other states will join them in varying levels of these move over rules. We got Colorado, Georgia, Minnesota, New York, North Dakota, and Virginia. So anyway, far too many states to talk about here. I am just going to let you go over here and read this article, and just be aware that honestly, you as a trucker should not care what these rules are. All you should care about is there's something on the shoulder, scoot over and get away from it. That's what we care about, okay? You don't even need to know these rules, okay? But hey, if you're interested, head on over to landline.media. Oh, and also, some of these are not even new rules yet. They're just bills that are proposed and will probably pass, but we'll see. Anyway, like I said, landline.media, go check it out. Sticking with autonomous vehicles, let's head over to thetrucker.com. New study shows majority of people fear automated vehicle technology. Well, gee, what a surprise. How long have we been saying that on this podcast? That, the biggest hurdle we were going to have, or not we, but they are going to have in getting automated trucks on the road is not the technology itself. That's a pretty big hurdle, honestly, but just getting the public to trust these things, including the truckers themselves, right? Well, like I said, this does not surprise me at all. But what did surprise me from this article is that trust in these autonomous systems has actually gone down. Last year in 2022, when this survey was taken, it said that 55% of people did not trust these autonomous systems. But this year, it's up to 68%. That's the biggest jump they've had so far. That's a 13% increase in lack of trust. And they're citing what has happened here is there's been more wrecks. There's been, wrecks involving Teslas, and there was one involving a semi that wasn't a horrible accident, but it did get a lot of press. So, just the more people are aware of these and the more of these that are actually out on the road, the trust is just going to keep going down. In my opinion, they're going to be like, nope. The more wrecks we hear about, the less they're going to trust this thing. What a surprise. If you're interested in looking at these stats, head on over to thetrucker.com. That's where you'll find them. Hey, you know how much we've talked on this podcast about this driver shortage, air quotes, and how much money the government is dumping into it with this new infrastructure package to try to get more truckers into the industry? Well, we are not alone. Our fellow brothers and sisters up in Canada are getting the same treatment. But, it's a little different and I'm a little confused by it. Freightwaves.com. Canada devotes millions to federal funding to train and recruit new truckers. Okay, that sounds great, right? According to the Canadian Trucking Alliance, they forecast that Canada is going to have a shortage of 55,000 workers by the end of 2023, and they are devoting $46 million to help train and find jobs for truckers and other industry workers. Now, here's the part that I'm a little confused about. $46 million is going to train 1,400 new truck drivers and 1,200 workers for other occupations within the trucking industry, like forklifts and, logistics and stuff like that. So $46 million, and you're going to get 1,400 new truckers out of it. 1,400, not 14,000. $46 million to get 14. I know I keep saying it, but I'm a little confused. Why does it cost that much? Really? It costs that much to put people through truck driving school up there? I'm confused. If you're from Canada, please write and tell me why this makes sense to you, if it makes sense to you at all. truckerdump@gmail.com to straighten me out on this one. And if you want to find out what I'm missing here, and maybe you'll understand a little bit better than me, head on over to freightwaves.com. Obviously, link in the show notes. Hey, I found this next story on freightwaves.com, and it's really cool, but honestly, it probably won't affect you for a little while, but it may in the future. This is a really cool idea. This article is entitled, ArcBest touts system for loading and unloading trailer in one motion. So you may or may not recognize the name ArcBest, but they are basically the parent company for ABF, the LTL company, and Panther. Then they are like an expedited company, and they've got some other truckload divisions, and they've got a division that focuses on fleet and maintenance, and there was one focused on technology, but basically you know them from ABF, Freight, and Panther. So anyway, what is this thing? Well, it is a 26-foot long mobile platform that can be configured in multiple ways, and it even has software included with it that will actually tell you the best way to stack things to make the best use of your space. And in case you didn't know this, LTL companies will typically use what they call a dimensioner, and they will figure out the exact dimensions of a piece of freight. So they know if it's 12 feet long and, only 2 feet wide, they can adjust for that. And this software would say, hey, stack this on top of this, put this on this platform, and, none of the freight touches and everything arrives there safely. So like I say, the idea of these is each one of these is 26 foot long. There is a special attachment that goes on a forklift, and you can just grab the whole thing and just drag it out of the trailer. So if, like an LTL company like ABF, they have 26 feet trailers, they would just shove they basically just load it on the dock, which can be loaded from all different sides. They could have, 3 or 4 people loading this thing, and then one person just takes it with that special attachment and shoves it on the trailer. When it gets to the other end, they just grab it, pull it off, and that truck driver can go on their way. So do the math, and 2 of these, 26 times 2 is 52. And that means you can put 2 of these on a 53-foot trailer. So now a forklift only has to go on there once right at the end, drag that back one off, go in one more time, drag it off, and then that truck driver can get on their way. Man, that is super cool. I mean, how long do we spend sitting in docks? Well, not me, I'm LTL now. But, in general, how long do you spend sitting in a dock while a forklift goes on and off your trailer 22, 26 times, whatever it is, however the pallet configuration is. And it takes so long to do it. Even if you got 2 forklifts working on it, they have to coordinate. Often one driver's sitting out there waiting on the other one to come off with a pallet so they can go on and grab a pallet. And it just takes forever, doesn't it? And isn't that a big problem in our industry, is unload times? I could see where this could really be successful in the future if they could make this work. This is a company called Vox, I think is VAUX, Freight Movement System is the name of the company. It's just a really cool idea. I wish our company did this. I mean, I don't sit around a lot, but there are times when I have to unload an entire trailer myself. And wouldn't it just be nice to drag it off and have 4 drivers working on it all at the same time? And also, if you think about it, you may not think about this if you're not in LTL, but LTL often stacks stuff. And, if it falls over in transit or whatever, it's hard to get at. Sometimes you've only got one angle coming from the back of the trailer. You've only got one angle to get at it. And if you can't get it at that angle, sometimes you just got to let the pallet spill and pick it all up. And that really sucks. But this, you drag it off. You got 4 different directions you can grab from that thing, right? Well, at least 2, depending on, 3 maybe. Who knows, depending on the size of the pallet. But man, this is really freaking cool technology, not with hardware and software. Man, I really hope this succeeds. Go ArcBest. That's awesome. There is a photo here of what this thing looks like, so you can go check it out. Freightwaves.com. Pretty dang cool. Hopefully this idea will catch on with every carrier and every warehouse system, and we can reduce all of these long sitting times. Man, would that be awesome. And to cap off the news, I usually like to leave you with something that's either very important that I want you to act on, or something that's just lighthearted that we can all laugh about. And this time it is the latter. Well, nothing really to laugh about here, just something that I found kind of amusing. Found this one on CDLlife.com. This is a video where an electric pickup truck yanks a semi out of the ditch in Utah. And this semi looks like it's snow on the ground. Not a lot of snow, but it looks like it's pretty wedged in there and almost to the point of jackknifing. And this guy pulls over in, of all things, a Rivian. Now, if you don't know what a Rivian is, it's a pickup truck. It's electric. It's not considered heavy duty by any means. It is a light duty pickup, not like a Tacoma or something, but probably like a half-ton pickup kind of equivalent. But it does, because it's electric, it has all-wheel drive, and electric motors have lots of torque. So I guess this guy thought, what the heck, I'll see if I can do it. Well, his first attempt in the video, he's kind of crooked a little bit, and when that tow strap gets to its end, it kind of kicks the back end of his truck around, and he ends up kind of in the ditch himself a little bit, spinning and throwing dirt everywhere. But after that, he tries again, and I'll be darned if he doesn't drag this thing out backwards. He's hooked onto the bumper of the trailer, and he actually drags this truck out. And the truck, like I said, is kind of jackknifed, so he had to pull it good enough and strong enough to give the trucker time to get those wheels straight and get the truck aligned with the trailer. This is very impressive. I was really surprised. You could hear the tires squalling on this pickup, but I'll be darned if it didn't do it. Personally, all I could think about was how much these things cost, like well over $100,000. And I was thinking, this guy is a nut job for hooking this thing up to a semi. I mean, how did he know what was going to happen? And he must have had a lot of money. That's all I got to say. Well, good for him. He was pretty thrilled when he got that truck out, and of course the truck driver was overjoyed because he didn't have to pay for a tow. Looked like the truck could move. Actually, it was a little banged up, but it looked like it could move on down the road without any further assistance. So anyway, go check out this video. It's really short, and it was a fun video to watch. cdllife.com. So like I said, not a lot of news there. I did probably blab a little bit longer on some of those articles than I thought I was going to, but it is what it is. But now's the time to quit wasting time. Let's get on with Trucker Grub.
Give us a bottle of your finest champagne, 5 shrimp cocktails, and some bread for my brother.
What's that?
Sushi.
Sushi?
Boy, some chicken wings have really hit the spot.
This is a tasty burger.
Don't play with your food, eat it.
Okay, this here Trucker Grub segment was sent in by One of a Kind. Now, I know she's been contributing a lot lately, and I love it, but this time I think she might have an ulterior motive.
Hey everyone, it's Vicky, One of a Kind. I have a new Trucker Grub segment for you. So I'm sitting here in Wyoming watching the wind blow sideways and missing my sweet home of Las Vegas, Nevada. And the reason I'm doing this one is I just really want to hear Todd say Nevada again. Anyways,
knew it.
Tacos El Gordo. When you're on the 15, you want to get off on the Cheyenne exit.
Rewind.
Exit. This guy's a new whiskey I should now fight fifth and
Okay, now what was that again?
Tacos El Gordo.
Thank you.
When you're on the 15, you want to get off on the Cheyenne exit, which is exit 46. You're going to head west. You're going to cross Losee Road, and on the right, there's a Valero station called Morton's Travel Plaza. There's truck parking in the back. Pretty good-sized little truck stop, though it is usually full of locals. Grab yourself some parking and walk across the street to Tacos El Gordo. Tacos El Gordo, when they first opened, I guess they originally opened in San Diego, but when they first opened in Las Vegas, they were in a really crappy neighborhood like most good taquerias are.
Did you say taquerias? Taquerias? Did I say that right? Nevada. Go on, Vicky.
And we used to drive to go and get them. Actually, it wasn't that far. We kind of lived in a crappy neighborhood, too. But they are fabulous. They have all the meats. I mean, carne asada, adobada, the whole bit. They even have cabeza, lengua, tripa, the organ meat type of things. Pretty much the only thing you're going to be able to get there is tacos. They have tostadas and quesadillas. Everything I've ever eaten there has been fantastic. The most American thing you'll find is fries, and you have their meat and stuff on top. Greatest hangover cure in the world.
How we know that?
There are several locations in Las Vegas. This is the only one I know you can reach by a truck. They also have a location on the Strip, but if you're there on vacation, do not go to that one. It is usually a 1 to 3 hour wait just to get some tacos. And even though they're fabulous, I don't know about that. Plus, they're also more expensive there. Grab an Uber. There's one on Charleston. It's a 15-minute Uber ride, whatever. But the one that's right across from Morton's Travel Plaza, absolutely fabulous food. My very favorite thing there is the cabeza tacos. Yeah, I'm weird. I like that kind of stuff. My husband loves the carne asada. Yeah, you cannot go wrong. So exit 46, Cheyenne in Las Vegas, Nevada. Go to Morton's Travel Plaza and park there. You will not regret it.
Well, Vicky, I believe you. I will not regret it. However, I will probably never get out there unless, of course, I end up changing jobs. One of the jobs I am looking at for the future could possibly have me running back out in the Rocky Mountains again and over in that neck of the woods, but we will just have to wait to see. But until then, I am not getting to Nevada anytime soon. Yes, you heard me right. Nevada. So anyway, this place sounds awesome. Thanks for the advice and not to going down the strip. You don't want to wait 3 hours for any food. I don't, and I certainly don't want to pay more for it. So that's awesome. I couldn't pronounce half that stuff you said in there. I'm not even going to try to attempt to say your favorite dish or what that even is. You said you're weird. I'm guessing that maybe mean it's one of those organ foods, which is bleh, let me just say that. Bleh, you can have all that stuff. Liver, gizzards, bleh, gross. But anyway, if that's what floats your boat, have at it. Sounds great. If you stay away from the innards. Well, thankfully, Vicky included a link to their website, and go over there and look at that. Oh, Authentic Tacos is wow. These things all look amazing. Heck, I'm probably looking at a picture of innards right now, and it looks really good. I'm going to have to be careful when I order there. Actually, we were thinking about going and visiting some relatives for Christmas out there in Vegas. May have to do it. We'll see. Anyway, this looks great. Head on over to this website. It's tacosdelgordobc.com, but just click a link right there in the show notes and go check it out. Man, this looks wonderful. So once again, Vicky, thank you for contributing so much lately. I really appreciate it, even though this time I know you had an ulterior motive.
Hey, yo, bud, where do you want this load of feedback?
All right, got a couple of familiar names for the feedback segment. Let's get to the more serious stuff before we get really silly. This one comes from Zachary, who you probably know better as Trucker Smack.
Hey, Todd and Trucker Dumpers. This is Trucker Smack. I am giving you another comment about TD191 and the hours of service stuff that you're talking about with the sleeper berth. So I was sort of thinking about this, and instead of fighting the FMCSA to get these hard and fast rules for different splits, like a 6-4 or 5-5, and then the 7-3 and 8-2 that we already have, why don't we change things around a little bit, make it a little bit easier and a little bit simpler, and say that you need to get a cumulative 10-hour break within a 24-hour period. So whatever portion, whatever that means in your day. So however you want to split up that 10-hour break. And then however you want to log it as well, whether it's off duty or sleeper, it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't honestly matter to me. So I don't understand why there has to be that distinction, because they're really kind of one and the same. But just make it a cumulative thing. And then the other thing to make that sort of work a little bit better too would be to say, well, your 14-hour clock stops, and then you roll that time back and get that time back after you're sitting for an hour. So off duty or sleeper for an hour, and then you have to get the other portion of that 10-hour break, however you want to do it, within the next 24-hour period. I think it would make things a lot simpler. It would make things a lot easier. It'd be easier to understand. It would be easier to do. And then on top of that, it would give drivers the flexibility of getting that 10-hour break how they want it and how best works for them. You're still getting a 10-hour break. You're still getting the sleep that you want. If you want to take a 3-hour nap, you can take a 3-hour nap. If you only want to take an hour nap, you can take an hour nap. And then you can still get your time back, still have your clocks, and still be able to work. So I think that would be a great way of handling that situation instead of fighting the FMCSA for all these hard and fast sleeper berth rules. And then maybe even also help solve a lot of the issues with exemptions and people trying to get out of the hours of service. But that's my thought on it. I thought I'd throw another one out for you, and hope you enjoy. This is Trucker Smack. I'm out.
Well, this is a very interesting idea, Trucker Smack. I always like it when people come up with new ideas that I hadn't heard before. Of course, we know this is never going to happen because that would give us too much flexibility. Not that much really more. I mean, all we're asking for right now, or not we, but some people are asking for is a 5 and a 5 and a 6 and a 4. In addition to the 7-3 and the 8-2 we already have. 9 and 1, yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to go for that one, but who knows, never say never. This new FMCSA seems to be looking at all kinds of options, and they have reversed bad things in the past that didn't make sense. So maybe they would. I'm going to say they're not, but it's an interesting idea. I mean, of course, I am all for giving drivers flexibility to sleep when they want to sleep. I don't really know how people could abuse this really as far as, I mean, you'd still have the 11, you'd still have the 14. Like you said, you could still extend the 14 maybe with just something less than a 2 right now. If you take your 2 hours off, you can extend out. But I guess 1 isn't that big of a deal. I guess you could just, that's a pretty good idea. You could just make it, hey, just get your 10 hours somehow with some kind of a break within this amount of time before you, take a full 10-hour break at some point. Or I guess you just keep running like that. Like you could split sleeper berth. I don't know. Like I say, don't ever see it happening, but it's an interesting idea. So thanks for submitting it, Trucker Smack. I did get your other one. Haven't listened to it yet, but we'll hear that one in the next podcast so I can split things up a little bit and make sure I have some content for the next show. Thanks, Trucker Smack. Appreciate it. All right, now on to the silliness to finish up the show. I love my silly. So this is something that I'm just going to let Goose explain to you how this came about. Now, Goose is obviously not his real name, but that's what he goes by in the Trucker Dump Slack group. And thank God, because his name is hard to pronounce. I think I've always said like Ben Dickens de Goss or something like that. I may try to make it way too fancy, but, well, I'll just let Goose tell you how to pronounce it since I suck at it so bad. Goose?
Oh, Todd, I almost forgot. The pronunciation of my surname is Dickens de Goose. Is the easiest way to do it for English-speaking folk. Unless you're Dutch, of course, and then it becomes de Kroos. But, yeah, I'm not, so I can't pronounce it.
Well, thank God, because neither can I. Wow. Well, de Goose makes complete sense. Boy, I really just went way overboard with that one, trying to be all fancy and fancy up your name. No wonder you call yourself Goose in the Trucker Dump Slack group. So anyway, take it away, Goose. Tell us what we got going on here.
G'day, Todd. G'day, Trucker Dumpers. Goose here. So over in the Slack group, after an episode a few weeks back, we were having a bit of a laugh at Todd's expense about how he goes about pronouncing the names of some of the towns, particularly his Nevada segment. I'm sure he'll put a link in the show notes for that.
You bet.
And I mentioned that it was probably just as well that he doesn't have to pronounce too many of the Australian town names. So Todd contacted me and asked if maybe I could write him a bit of a list of some of the more hard-to-pronounce town names over here. So I've made a list, and we're going to see how Todd goes with them. So, yeah, take it away, Todd. See how you go.
Yeah, I think we know how this is going to go. Don't we, Goose? I think everybody else knows how it's going to go. So, anyway, he did send me a list of these city names, and I have not looked at any of them. Not even a glance at them, so I'm just going to give it a go in order. So, here we go. The first one I'm going to say is Binjinawari. Goose?
So this first one was Binjinawari. That's not far from where I am. It's a small dairy farming community.
Ah, dang it. I was so close. I got to get better at reading. I threw an extra I in there. I said Binjinawari. Okay, Binjinawari. Got it. Next up, we've got Dallaston. Dallaston? Let's see. I'm going to go with Dallaston. Let's try that. Survey says...
How'd you go with this one? This is Daleston. I don't know why it's pronounced like that, but it is.
I don't know either. Dang it. All right. How about Talangati? Yep, Talangati. Nope, I gotta read better. Talangata. There you go.
This next one is Talangata, not Talangata, which a lot of people pronounce it as. This one's up near the border of New South Wales and Victoria.
Well, apparently I fall into the category of a lot of people, because, yep, that's the way I pronounced it. Oh, wow, this next one. Woolloomooloo. Woolloomooloo. Yep, that's what I'm going with. Man, someone had a sense of humor when they named this town, didn't they? Let's see what Goose says.
What about this one? This was Woolloomooloo. It's a Sydney suburb in New South Wales.
Dang it, Goose, I'm really not liking you or Australia right now. Not even close. Okay. Goondiwindi.
How'd you go with that? Goondiwindi. That's up near the Queensland-New South Wales border.
Oh, come on, Goose. There's clearly two O's in there. Goondiwindi, not Gundawindi. All right. How about Kenawindra? Yeah, I'm sure I got that one right. Positive.
I know you struggled with this one. This is Canandra in central west New South Wales.
Canandra? Seriously? With that spelling? Folks, if you aren't following along in the show notes, then you can't possibly see what I'm looking at here. There's no way that comes out Canandra. Wow. All right, let's move on. How about Hervey Bay? That's 2 words. Hervey Bay. Yeah, I'm guessing this one's on the coast of Australia.
This one was Hervey Bay in Queensland. Very popular tourist area.
Well, if there's one thing I'm learning about Australia, it's that they don't pronounce their vowels right. This is clearly Hervey. That's Hervey Bay, not Harvey Bay. How about Kata? Oh, dear God. Kata? Wow. TJ? Kata Tajuda. Kata Tajuda. Or is the T silent? I'm going to go with Kata Katu. Don't overthink it, Todd. Kata Tajuda. Yeah, this is a trick question. Kata Tajuda. Yeah.
This one was Katajuta. This is in Northern Territory and it's not far from Uluru or Ayers Rock. It's also known as the Olgas.
Apparently not a trick question. The T was silent. Dang. 2 more. How about Sugan Boogan? Seriously? Sugan Boogan? Yeah, let's go with that. What the heck? I'm already on a road to Loserville.
This one is Sugan Boogan.
Yes!
In Victoria. It's up in the high country and it's a very small community.
I don't really care where it is. I just know I got the name right for a change of pace. That's 1 for me. And lastly, we've got, oh dear God in heaven. Let me sound this out. Wangkatjunka? Oh, dear Lord. Wankajunka. Let's say Wankajunka. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Wankajunka. How'd I do, Goose?
And I thought I'd save the best one till last.
Yeah, you did.
This one is Wonkajonka. It's a small Aboriginal community up in the north of Western Australia. Anyway, hope you had fun with that. And keep the shiny side up.
Oh, I did. Wonkajonka. Is that what you said? Now I gotta rewind and go back. Hang on. Yep, he said Wonkajonka. Yeah. Well, that's pretty close considering how messed up that spelling is. Yes, Goose, I had a blast with this. I hope you all did too, in case you all are keeping score. I got 9 wrong and 1 right. par for the course. But hey, Las Vegas, Nevada, got that one down pat. Oh my God, I don't have that in down pat. That's legit. I just said Las Vegas, Nevada a million times. Nevada. And then I just said Nevada again, didn't I? Oh. Never mind. I give up. Apparently, I'm always going to be a giant loser, as Ace Ventura would say. Well, thank you to everyone who participated in the show this time around. Vicky for the Trucker Grub segment, Trucker Smack for talking about the sleeper berth stuff, and of course, Goose for going to this effort to make out this list for me and let us have some fun with this. So, hey, I hope you had as much fun with that segment as I did. And I hope it keeps you coming back for the next podcast, even though we all know it probably won't be that funny next time. So, anyway. Let's get on out of here. I hope you have a great week. Stay safe. And as Goose said, keep the shiny side up. Okay, this time around, I'll only give a brief shout out to abouttruckdriving.com, where you can click on Help the Show to learn all the ways you can give me money. But now let's focus on how you can contribute without digging into your wallet. Obviously, you can send an audio comment or regular old email to truckerdump@gmail.com. You can send questions, suggestions, constructive criticism, feedback on past episodes like Trucker Smack did today, or submit your favorite truck-friendly place to eat for the Trucker Grub segment like Vicky did. Really, anything helps, including you listening and following the show. As always, thanks for that. So until next time, drive safe and stay out of my way. What say I quit rambling aimlessly and let's get on with the news. Okay, let's link these bad boys together before I forget like last time, you bonehead. Or share new episodes on your favorite show. Or share new episodes when your Or share new episodes when they come out. Or share new episodes when they Or share new episodes on your favorite social media. They're going to be doing inspections at way stations. They're going to be doing. So anyway, if you want to see a cool infographic, well, it's not cool. It's just very informative. It's a little infographic here. Infographic? Or repost new episodes when they come out on your favorite. Or repost new episodes. Or share new episodes when they come out on your favorite. Or share new episodes on your favorite social. Or share new episodes when. Piss. All right, got a couple of familiar names for the podcast. But now let's focus on how you can. But now let's focus on how you can.